Hello everyone. I have a story about the Scotia Bank here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I believe the bank facilitated an international fraud on my business account, and at the same time, the bank is guilty, I believe, of gross negligence of procedures at that same branch, and that's the Horizon branch in the northeast of Calgary. The end result is I am minus $100,000. Now, I also learned through this whole process that there's basically zero consumer protection for the people of Canada against Canadian banks. Now, they have a self-serving system that suits them, but there's nothing in place that's really on your side at all. You just eat the loss. So one day I get a phone call from a client in Dubai, and this client wants to buy some stuff, about $28,000 worth. So the normal, I send him an official quote, and then what we do, we send him the bank wire transfer instructions. Now, we don't ship until we get the money. The money's in the account. Now, once again, wire transfers are very secure. When your wire comes in, you can pretty much ship the product. You're good to go. So this guy places an order, said he's going to send the wire. Maybe a week later, 5 days later, this person phones up again, and he said, we've done the wire transfer. It should be in your account. Well, just a moment, sir. I get on my computer, and you can check today real time. I do my internet banking, I go online, and I see that the business account indeed has been paid. But there's a big problem, and I don't like it. My account is being paid $100,000 US too much. But it's in the account, I see it, but I still don't like it. Now, I'm thinking money laundering. The Scotia Bank is always talking about money laundering and people need to be careful. And they ask you lots of questions when your money comes in and out. So I'm thinking, maybe money laundering, but ding dong, alarm bells going ding-a-ling-ling. This is a concern because it's a big anomaly, right? So I tell this guy on the phone that the excess funds will be dealt with in an appropriate manner. It won't be today, that's for sure. We will have to consult with the banks and check everything out. So no problem. I hang up the phone, and then I phone my business manager, a lady called Teresa. Now she's been my account manager for 10 years, so I know her quite well. And I call her, and she picks up the phone, and I can already hear her clacking away on the keyboard. Call display lets her know it's me. And I tell her about this wire transfer. She said, yes, I see it in your account. I said, well, you have a big problem, Teresa. And once again, ding-a-ling-ling, alarm bells going off in my head. Teresa, I'm overpaid $100,000 US, and I really don't like it. I've had overpayments and underpayments, but a payment of this amount, Teresa, is an awful big number, and I'm really concerned. Well, she didn't seem overly concerned. She tells me, look, your money's in the account. We can all see it. Well, yeah. But what about the money laundering aspect? I don't want to get involved with that, Teresa. I need to be 1,000%. I'm so nervous about this. I need to be sure that you guys are not going to come back after me and talk about money laundering. I don't want that to happen. She says, look, you seem really concerned. Let's just wait another week then. Oh, okay, if that works for you, it'll work for me. So that's what we do. Wait another week. I think that's probably appropriate, right? Now, every day during that week, I'm going online. And I'm looking to see if that money's there. No problem, the money's there every day. Looks really good. Now, about the same time, I have a business trip arranged to go to the UK, trying to get some distribution for some products. And I want to try and sort this out before I leave, this excess money. I don't like other people's money in my account. I just don't like it. Plus, we're an honest company, right? We're not trying to rip anybody off. So I phone Teresa again, and once again, ding-a-ling-ling, alarm bells. I relay to Teresa that I'm really nervous about this and I don't want it to go sideways. Teresa, are we good to go? Is this okay? And she reassures me that your money's safe, your money's there. Keep what's yours and return the difference. That's what she said. Well, it made sense to me. I know wire transfers are good. The money sat there for over a week. Nobody said anything. Nothing's come back. Okay, Teresa, that's what I'll do. So I go to the bank and I make the necessary arrangements. I do a wire to this account in Dubai. I think nothing of it. So then the next day I fly to London, my business trip. And after 2-3 days, I figured that, well, you should really get your messages. So I get on the phone to get my phone messages out of Calgary. Lo and behold, my messages are plugged up with calls from the Scotia Bank. A guy called Inder. Well, I know Inder. He is one of the other managers at the bank. And the message is, you need to call right away, we have a problem. Well, I don't like the sound of that. I really don't. The big dark cloud is sitting over my head. And I'm thinking, money laundering, ding-a-ling-ling. I tried to tell them. So I call up and he says, oh, I'm glad you called. You need to come to the bank right away. Well, Inder, I can't. I'm in the UK on a business trip. What's it all about? He says, look, it's serious. You need to come into the bank. Well, Inder, before I go ahead and buy a ticket, give me the heads up on what's going on. And he says, look, we have to discuss this inside the branch. But I'll tell you one thing, he said, your account has been seized. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Crap. Business needs a functioning bank account, right? I guess I'm buying another ticket and flying back to Calgary the next day. Well, that's exactly what I do. I go to Amsterdam, I get a KLM flight out of Amsterdam back to Calgary. Great flight, KLM, I like it. And from the airport, I phone the bank and tell them I'll be there in about 30 minutes. No problem. I get to the bank, get inside Inder's office, and there's Inder sitting there, and a few other people sitting there, but not my business manager, Teresa, the account manager. Well, I'm thinking, man, maybe no big deal. Maybe she's just sick or she's got a day off. No biggie, right? I sit down in the chair and Inder pipes up, so, he says, how do you think the money got into your account? Here we go, the money laundering thing, I'm thinking. And I said, well, if Teresa was here, that's easy. She'd tell you all about it. I'm surprised you haven't asked her. But it's a wire transfer. We talked about it for a whole week, about this wire transfer. We had some concerns in there. And then he sits there and he looks at me and he says, well, it wasn't that. It wasn't what? It wasn't a wire transfer. Oh. Okay, so what kind of transfer could it be? So I said, well, Inder, perhaps the person in Dubai took the cash over to a more Canadian-friendly bank and maybe they carried the money over. I don't really know how you guys move money, Inder. I sit back in my chair. Inder pipes up. It wasn't that either. Oh, the big mystery. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, I saw the money. I talked to Teresa about this transfer, and now it's not a wire transfer. I'm puzzled. Okay, Inder, if you tell me it's not a wire transfer, then what was it? And he pipes up and he says, well, it was a check. I said, Inder, what are you talking about, a check? I've never seen any check. Anyway, how much is this check for? And then he says, well, it's the $128,000 US. Inder, this is the very first time I heard about some check. I've never seen a check. And you know what, Inder? I look after all the money that goes in my business, in or out. If I saw that check, I'd remember. I've never seen a check, Inder. So I'm sitting there trying to be calm and work this out in my head as to what's going on. And, okay, you tell me it's a check, Inder. I take your word for it. Okay, so if it's a check, this place is full of video cameras, surveillance equipment, Inder. Then you must have some video of the person depositing this check, right? And I'm looking at these people, and Inder's not saying anything. Oh, I know what's going on here. I got to ask the questions, and they give me the answers. Okay, Inder, do you have video surveillance of the person deposited the check at this branch? No, we don't. Oh, well, that's strange, Inder. Are these cameras fake? Was the system down that day? He pipes up, no, the system is fine. Now I'm really confused. How did the bank get the so-called check? So I ask Inder, so Inder, if it wasn't a wire transfer, you tell me it's a check. How did the bank get the check? It's a logical question, right? And Inder muttered something. Excuse me, Inder, could you repeat? And then he tells me, well, this check was mailed to the bank. Mailed to the bank? Well, I'm just 3 minutes up the road. I've had this account 10 years. I've never had a check mailed to the bank. Never. Okay. Okay, Inder, you say it's mailed to the bank. Well, Inder, I know you said it was mailed to the bank, but I'm still puzzled. How did it get into my account? I don't get it, because I'd never seen this check. You never said anything about a check. It still doesn't tell me how it got into my account. Then Inder pipes up and he said, well, we put it in for you. Well, you know what? I didn't have that system in place. I never asked anybody to do that, and this is the first I heard of it. And I said, this is normal? And the next thing you know, one of the people in front of me, which I learned to be the lady manager if you like, and she says, well, we put checks in people's bank accounts all the time. And I said, okay, so let me get this right. $128,000 in a foreign currency is mailed to this bank. I've never had a check mailed to this bank in 10 years. This is the only one. You deposit that high-value check, a fraudulent check, into the account, and you never say anything to anybody. Now, in the meantime, I've been talking to one of your key staff about this wire transfer for the exact amount of money that's on the check. And you're telling me this is normal? Sounds like easy way to do money laundering. I don't believe you. She didn't reply to that. So, I clearly see where this is going now. There's a big problem. I'm thinking it's money laundering, but it's not money laundering. I can see where this is going. So, in the next breath, Inder says, well, so we need to know how you're going to make up the negative funds in your account. And I said, what? What are you talking about? Inder, you just told me you deposited a fraudulent check. You never said anything. Teresa never said anything, even though I chatted to her for a week. And now it's my fault? You created a massive cause and effect, Inder. I don't see how it's my fault. And he said, you really need to think about it. Okay.